I really wanted to unsubscribe from iCloud and stop paying 103 Hong Kong dollars a month to host my website and store my photos on cloud. So I built myself a home server in my dorm room. So I went with the HP EliteDesk 800 G3 SFF. The reason why I picked this over Dell Optiplex is because it can fit two 3.5-inch hard drives natively. So I found this seller in Carousel who had one for like 850 Hong Kong dollars. For the NVMe, I pick up a Samsung PM991 off Carousel for like 200 Hong Kong dollars. And for the actual storage, I got 4 terabyte hard drives. So for the third drive, I went and found a 3D printable mount in MakerWorld. Printed it in PETG and it fits the G3 quite well. I bought this 6P to 4 SATA power cables because initially the one that came with this PC, it's basically only 2 SATA power cable and 1 optical drive. These 3 are all SATA ports. I can just, this one is not angled. 2 of these are angled because I don't think it could fit really well if it's not angled. Quite tight. Okay, so I'm gonna put the last piece over here. Okay. It's a tight space, you know? So, there we go. And another one is the angled SATA cable. It's a bit of a challenge. There we go. So in total for my bill is 2,401 Hong dollars, so that's around 310 US dollars. I installed the TrueNAS Scale ISO from my MacBook, flash it into my USB drive with Balena Etcher, and then plug it into EliteDesk. First actual problem I ran into was a bad stream error on boot, so I went into BIOS, disabled secure boot, and it went away. The TrueNAS didn't came up automatically, so I had to pick boot from file. So once I did that, the TrueNAS installer came up, it found my NVMe, and the install went through just fine. So our campus network uses 802.1x, and what that means in practice is that even though my laptop and the EliteDesk are both on the same network, they cannot see each other, so the network just blocks device-to-device communication. And the EliteDesk doesn't have a Wi-Fi card either, so it's Ethernet only, so I cannot just connect it to a different network. What I ended up doing was taking an Ethernet cable and plugging it directly between my Mac and the EliteDesk. So they negotiate a linked local address, and through that I could finally pull up the TrueNAS Web UI on my browser. But now the NAS has no internet connection, so the way I got around that was I turned on my phone's hotspot, connected to my Mac to it over Wi-Fi, and then shared that internet connection from my Mac over Ethernet to the EliteDesk. So it's basically 3 devices chained together just to get the NAS online. It's actually ridiculous, but it actually works. For remote access, I use Tailscale. I installed it through the TrueNAS App Store. I also set up the storage as 4 terabyte drives in RAID Z1, which gives me about 7.28 terabytes usable with 1 drive fault tolerance. So if any single drive dies, I don't lose data. The boot drive is on the NVMe, so completely separate from the data pool. One thing to keep in mind though, RAID Z1 protects you from a drive failure, but it's not a backup, so it doesn't do anything for any accidental deletion. The main thing I wanted was Immich, which is a self-hosted photo library. I set up auto backup from my phone, and the feature I care most is the free up space, which deletes photos from your phone once they're already backed up to the server. I also set up Calibre-Web for ebooks. This one was actually annoying for me. You would think that you can just point it out at a folder of EPUBs and it will work, but actually no. And the default TrueNAS config stores the book directory in something called an IX volume, which is basically a hidden internal volume you can't easily access. So I had to change it to a host path, create a dataset on my pool, set up an SMB share, and copy everything over manually. Not hard once you know it, but nothing about it is obvious going on. And then for my website, this used to be on Framer at 80 Hong Kong dollars a month, but I rebuilt it in Next.js as a static export, serve it from an Nginx Docker container, and expose it to the internet through Cloudflare Tunnel. On top of that, I have homepage to see all my services. I point the dashboard to my domain so it is easy to look at without me having to remember the ports. Well, it's not as smooth as iCloud. It breaks sometimes, but I open my phone and my website loads off of PC under my desk, and I'm sharing books with my coworkers from an ebook library I set up myself. And honestly, I actually learned more about how the internet actually works from this one project than from most of my CS classes. If you want full technical details, everything's written up on my website, links in the description.